Men today are weaker than ever. We're softer, more sensitive, and sick in the body and mind to the point where we can't get ourselves up to do what needs to be done for ourselves, for our families and our communities. We're attached, we're clutching to comfort and pleasures to the point where it's deteriorating our mental health. And this is life or death. More and more men are killing themselves. You probably know a guy that killed himself, that took his own life, or you probably know a guy that's considering it. Just think about that. So in this video, I'm going to share with you why I decided to become more masculine, why I felt like this was a necessity, this was life or death for me, because I was one of those guys that wanted to take his own life, and it was becoming more masculine and learning what that really meant that saved me. So watch this video all the way through to the end, share it with someone that you think it might benefit, and let's get right into it. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a story, the story of how I decided and why I decided to become more masculine. It took me from being near enough suicidal, I'm talking thinking about death every single day, to loving my life again and feeling great about all of this, about life. Yeah. So let's dive in. This is a journey. Get yourself comfy, get yourself a cup of tea. I'm a bit sneezy today, I gotta let you know, so if I sneeze, I sneeze. Maybe I'll edit it out, who knows. Masculine energy. Let's just make something clear, that just because we as males are males does not necessarily mean that we are men. Okay, this is something that I started asking myself. I started asking myself a question in this process. I started asking myself the question of what is the difference between a boy and a man? And so I want to know what you think. I want you to comment in the comment section with what you think the difference is between a boy and a man. I'm genuinely curious to know what you think of that. Okay, so that's why I'm asking you. Contemplate it throughout the video. When you feel like typing it in the comment box, type it in the comment box. So let's get on with it. I started out as a pretty underconfident, low self-esteem, low self-worth kid. I had the self-confidence drilled out of me by my brother and my father. This is in no way a blame game. I fully love them again. I don't hate them anymore. I love those guys, my brother and my father. But the story is, and the way that the story goes, is that when I was a young kid, my brother would bully me and my father would insult me. Now I don't know why, or in fact, now that I've looked within myself, I have a clear idea why. That they didn't feel good about themselves, and so they would project that onto me and try and make me feel bad about myself. Now it is what it is, things are in the past, but this had an effect on me. This had an effect on my psyche. So that when I was in school, I was very underconfident. I was really underconfident, shy, timid, afraid to speak to people, afraid to stand up for myself. I was more of the kind of sensitive guy, okay? More of the sensitive, quiet, introverted style. And although I did have some friends and I'd be clownish in the class, I had that side to me too, the rebellious side. Okay, although I had that side, I was shy. People wouldn't have thought this. They would see me, they would think, oh, he's quite confident. But no, it was an act. I was a shy kid, insecure. Okay. Now this all started to change when I was about 17 years old, 16. I got into the school gym for the first time and I got on the treadmill, started running. I lasted about 3 minutes. 3 minutes is how long I lasted before I had had enough. And I remember how I felt in that moment, still to this day. I remember feeling like, wow, that's all that you can do. That is all that you're capable of. Seriously, that's not good enough, bro. that's not good enough. We got to get better at this. I was having that internal conversation with myself. And you know what? I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I had that in me, because I'd never wanted to improve at something physical before. I'd never felt like I could. But here I was on this day in the gym, failing on the treadmill. And instead of going home and never trying again, I was so motivated to get better. And so I started training on the treadmill. 3 minutes became 5, became 7, became 10, became 20, 30, 40. Before I knew it, my confidence was going way up. And I was an asthmatic kid, so I was always wheezing with the inhaler. Yeah. And all I used to do as a kid was get home from school and jump straight on the PlayStation. Eat some crisp, instant noodles, chocolate, whatever it is, junk food. Every day, that's what it would be. And there's so many young kids doing the same thing today. So I have no doubt that their fate will be somewhat similar, and their path will be somewhat similar to what I have lived. And that's why I'm sharing this video, because if you resonate with anything in this video, just know 2 things: that you're not alone and that you can get better. Okay? You're not alone and you can get better. So, it's training in the gym, man's getting better on the treadmill. I'm finally not using asthma as an excuse. That's what I always used to use. Okay? I started lifting weights. I started building muscle, getting stronger, getting bigger. Confidence starts to go up even more. It was amazing. I'd never experienced this. I had a sense of respect. It's like people respected me in the gym. I was just a kid. Other kids were respecting me though. They were looking up to me. They'd ask me for advice on what to do for this body part and that body part. I felt strong. I felt respected, and I felt finally like I was worth something. Now here's the interesting thing. This is not the whole story. And when I'm telling you about this experience, this was me connecting to the masculine energy in a very unconscious way. This wasn't really a choice to become masculine at that point. That was just wanting to improve. But what we can take from that is that in order to connect to our masculine energy, what is masculine? Masculine is growth. Masculine is improvement. So want to improve. Find where you're weak, become aware of where you're weak and want to improve on that. If you walk that path, you will undoubtedly become more masculine, just as a byproduct, without even thinking of it, because that's exactly what happened for me. But later on down the line, as you're going to hear, as you're going to find out if you watch this video on through, you'll find that there's a time where I had to actually decide to learn about what masculine energy was, what masculinity is, and to choose to become more masculine. Okay, so let's move on in the story. The story continues. I'm lifting weights, I'm getting strong. I'm feeling confident more than ever before. I'm even attracting girls into my life, yeah. I get to the age of about 20 or so, and I get with a girl. This was a girl that I fancied from the age of 10. So from 10 years old, I fancied her, and at 20, we got together. And it was like, yo, really? Because I thought I was ugly growing up as well. So the fact that this was happening, it was like, wow, like, this is amazing. Until one day, she was struggling. I was out in Kenya on a volunteering project. She was struggling emotionally. She wanted some comforting. And all I was doing was this kind of masculine approach of like, this is how you fix your problem. This is how you fix your sadness. Let me give you the solution. Yeah? Just want to give you the solution. Fix you. And she said to me, I don't want to be fixed. I don't want to be told what to do. I just want you to listen. And I thought, you know what? That's bull. That's absolute bull. How could she just want me to listen when I'm giving her the solution? I just couldn't see. But turns out, guys, turns out, guys, that sometimes women, they just want someone to listen to them, okay? They just want someone to listen. They don't want the solution like we do. We just want the solution, you get me? But they're different. And so what's this opening us up to? That masculine and feminine are different, that men and women are different in our nature and how we relate to one another. And so I resisted what she told me for days. 3 days later or so, after reflecting, I decided, you know what, she was right. I started listening more than ever before. I went from fiery and hot and, super aggressive and arrogant. Yeah, I would look down on people that weren't training in the gym, people that weren't working on themselves, people that weren't into personal development. I'd look down on them like they were weaker, like they were less. Okay, like that, like I was better than them. And that's something you got to really be aware of on this journey. Is that you start getting arrogant, you start losing the game, you'll get humbled. Okay. And if you want to have a positive impact on people's lives, arrogance it's not the way, it doesn't work. So, I went from fiery and hot and arrogant to soft and cool, listening. I was so quiet at this point. Now, this was when I was out in Kenya volunteering. Amazing time in my life, amazing journey. And there was a girl out there, and she was teaching yoga one day, so I had to go, and I thought, oh, this is gay. I'll be honest, that's what I thought, this is gay. But you know what, something in me enjoyed it, something found value in it. And so I actually did it again. I did it again. I came home from Kenya, I started practicing. I started experiencing a level of peace more than ever before. Okay, this is all going to come together. I started experiencing a level of peace more than ever before. The self-critical mind became quiet. The anxiety, the agitation, the non-stop thinking and calculating subsided. So I experienced becoming highly present for the first time in my life. This is when I started to learn about meditation. Okay? Meditation. And so I trained my body, and as a byproduct, the mind had become stronger and more confident through physical training and getting in the gym. But then I entered a chapter of yoga and meditation, and I actually stopped lifting weights for about 10 years, believe it or not. Started lifting weights again this year. I stopped lifting. Why? Because my self-esteem was so closely attached to lifting those weights, and it was so driven by trying to prove something to my father, that I was actually worth something. It was just driven by hatred. It was driven by anger towards him. And I acknowledged that, I realized that, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it like this. Okay? I don't want to do it where my self-esteem is literally so closely attached to how much weight I'm lifting. And if I failed the lift, then I'm not worthy. If I failed the lift, then I'm not good enough. If I failed the lift, then I'm innately a failure. That's how I used to feel. So I stopped lifting weights. I stopped being so hard. I became yin. Okay, now we're into the next chapter of the story. I became more yin. Softer. Yoga, meditation, this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of all or nothing, me. At least that's how I've been until now. So I went all in on it. I started becoming all into the spirituality of things. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I became obsessed with being happy. Okay, so now my obsession wasn't being strong. Now my obsession was being happy and in the present moment. Because in the present moment we are happy. That's what I started to experience, was peace. I wanted to reach deep levels of spiritual height. Okay, so I got really serious about it. Even became a yoga teacher. I teach yoga even to this day. I teach meditation even to this day. And so these things became crucial components in my life. But here's the thing. When I softened up and started doing the yoga and the meditation, I went traveling, okay? I rebelled against all of this society. I rebelled against money. I rebelled against having a boss, working for someone else. I rebelled against it. Because at one point I was working in Brighton, a city in the south of the UK, and I was working with wood. I was learning how to make furniture out of wood. And I would get paid £20 for 8 hours work on the day. The guy was playing me a fool. Now, it was commission based, and so I wasn't good at making the furniture yet, and so that's all I would get paid. And of course, the pay would go up if I became better at making wooden furniture, but I didn't give it long enough. He paid me 20 quid for an 8-hour day, and I was just like, seriously? It frustrated me so much that I rebelled completely. I just wanted to disappear. And I said to myself, in fact, I had two choices. I said, right, bro, you got a choice. Choose out of these two. Number one is that you go all in on creating your own business. You become your own boss. And you become super wealthy and successful that way. Or number two is, F this all. You leave it all. This whole society, money, whatever. You go traveling with what you've got. And you go and live like a nomad, like a hippie. I chose number two. Okay, now, looking back at that now, I don't know. I would have had a conversation with him. I would have spoken to him. Who knows, yeah. All I know, some of my greatest life memories come from the adventures that I had. But here's the thing. It's like one was a masculine choice. One was focus on creating a business, become a leader, become an entrepreneur, smash it. Absolutely smash it. Go all in on it. This was very young. And the other one was leave it all. I didn't realize that until right now as I'm sharing in this video. I didn't realize. But the other one was more feminine. It was like rebel, go, fly out into the world with no responsibilities and just do whatever you want and go traveling and see whatever it is you want to see and have the best time ever. And that's what I did. You know, I don't know if it was the right thing to do. All I know is that the memories that I have from that time were so beautiful, and they're some of the best memories that I call upon today when I'm practicing gratitude and visualization. Okay? So I had an amazing time for 2.5 years. I travelled out in Europe. I had £700. Okay, I hitchhiked from place to place. That £700 lasted me 2.5 years. Why? Because your homie Usman OG became so confident with speaking to people, with talking, with finding my way, with I just had such belief that I would find a way. I hitchhiked everywhere. I hustled food from markets and bakeries and whatever. I would ask them in their local language, can I have some of that? Do you have some food that you can share with me for free? Yeah. Avete del cibo da buttare? This was the first phrase I learned in Italian. Do you have food to throw away? Do you have food to give away? The first woman I asked, she gave us 2 slices of pizza. I was like, I know this works and this is going to be the most useful tool on this quest, on this traveling journey. Now, at the end of the 2.5 year period, you would find this surprising, perhaps. You might find this surprising, is that I was out there living my dream. That was my dream. That was my greatest pleasure, was to be out there traveling, but I got depressed out there. I got depressed out there. Why? Because something in me knew that I was here to do great things, that I was here to help other people, that I was here to serve and contribute to my community. I had all these tools: yoga, meditation, personal development, personal growth, a philosopher at mind, a thinker, a deep thinker. And I knew I had something to offer the world, and I wasn't doing it. And I started to feel depressed. I started to feel greatly depressed. Eventually, I came back home. And what happens is, I came back home. I didn't have a job. I had no responsibilities. I got on job seekers allowance. Universal credit, they call it now here in the UK. It's money from the government. And I just became a stoner. COVID started. I started smoking weed all day. I started just binge eating on sugar all day. I just kept thinking to myself, I just kept thinking, why am I here? What's my purpose? I don't know why I'm here. I know I'm supposed to do something great, but I don't know how to go about doing it. And so this led me deep into a depression. Deep into a depression. Where my life literally just consisted of pleasure. Or at least attempted pleasure. Because it was no longer pleasurable. It was no longer serving its role, serving its purpose of pleasure. I was no longer feeling good from smoking weed. I no longer be feeling good from eating junk food. Not that that ever really feels good. I started binge eating to the point where I would be feeling sick, and then I'd eat more. Right? So something wasn't right. Something was wrong. And then here's where it all flipped around. Here's where it all flipped. After doing this for a year or two, after smoking it every day for 2 years, after binge eating, where I couldn't even go longer than 5 minutes at the train station without buying a couple Snickers bars and munching them down. Okay, that's how bad it was. I just couldn't be in the unknown. Which is strange, yeah? Being a guy who teaches meditation, being a guy who goes out and travels across Europe, to then be struggling mentally so much. This was strange for me, guys. And let this be a reminder. Let this be a reminder from my story that you don't get arrogant and complacent and think that just because you've gone up, just because you've leveled up, you can't level down. This isn't RuneScape. This isn't World of Warcraft. Once you level up, in real life, you can level down if you stop doing the work. You can level down. In other games, you can't level down. You just level up. Okay? So I was leveling down. And it was like, yo. Okay, now I was lonely. I didn't have many friends that were into personal development, personal growth. I started meditating when I was 18. This was 11 years ago. Okay? I was that weird guy doing that weird thing. Yoga. I didn't know anyone doing yoga. Right? So lonely, stoning in, binge eating, depressed, trying to find his purpose, not knowing what to do. Just literally digging himself into a hole. And one day I go to this climbing center because I'm starting to like fix my mental health. I'm starting to get out of the comfort zone once again, which is one of the key tenets to becoming more masculine, getting out of the comfort zone. I started climbing in this climbing center. It's called the Climbing Hangar. And as I'm climbing, I meet this girl. And this girl, she was attractive, you know. She had something about her, and we were vibing. Weeks later, I get a number. Weeks later, she says, yo, do you want to come climbing? We're going climbing. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll join you guys. And on this day, I was feeling so bad. I was feeling so low. But I thought, you know what, let's go. Let's go. And this was a pattern that I had where I would usually go out of my way to please other people. I would usually go and do things that I didn't want to do just to please them, just because they're going to do it or they want to do it. And so I went, and as I went there, yeah, and I fancied her, so I wanted to be spending some quality time with her. I went, we climbed for 20 minutes or so, and she says, right, we're getting off now. I'm like, are you mad? Are you mad? I just came all the way, I got 2 trains on a day where I didn't even want to come here, and 20 minutes, and you're going? Now, my relationship to women up until this point was terrible anyway. And so I'd get into situations like this all the time. And you know what? Turns out that she was actually attracted to women. Okay? I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it how it is. She was a lesbian. And this wasn't the first time that I'd attracted a lesbian into my life. And I was attracted to her and then found out that she was a lesbian. Do you know, it's not the first time like that had happened. And so it really got me frustrated. And in fact, this was the time where it just broke me. I remember standing there in the climbing hangar just like, wow, I've just come all this way. She's getting off. I was just alone. And it was just like, F this. I feel like crap. I felt so bad. And that was when I went to rock bottom. Okay, that was the lowest moment. Now, in that lowest moment, bear in mind, I was smoking all day, I was stoning all day, I was binging all day, watching YouTube, playing PlayStation all day. This took me to my lowest point. This just hurt me. When she said this, I found out that she was attracted to girls, and then she got off, and I was just there, left alone, and it was like, what am I doing here? This is when the suicidal thoughts started to begin. Now here's, in fact, no, sorry, tell a lie, that the suicidal thinking had been going on for a while. But this is when it just got to its trough, its lowest point. Now this is where everything flipped around. This is what this story is all leading up to. Is that in that moment, all the dots started to connect. Okay, I'd studied yin-yang, masculine, feminine dynamics, masculine, feminine medicine, macrobiotics it's called, yeah? And how food and what we consume and what we do with our time and our energy and the activity that we involve ourselves in makes us more yin or more yang, more masculine or more feminine. I lived with a family in Brighton that taught me all about this, and this knowledge started to come back to me in this moment, because it turns out that all the things that I was struggling with, yeah, the things I was addicted to, weed, sugar, screens, and this troubling relationship with women where I kept attracting lesbians into my life, and I was always so insecure around women. All the dots started to connect. These are all feminine. Sugar, feminine. Like in macrobiotics, it's referred to as yin, meaning it's like, gives you this kind of feeling. It's a comforting feeling, okay? It's a sweet taste, comfy, pleasure. This is feminine. Sugar, feminine. Weed, feminine. Oh, getting high, yeah. Yin. What else? Females, screens, feminine. Yin energy, of course, especially females. So it became clear to me, it became apparent to me that I had struggled my entire life with the feminine. I had struggled with it. From my mother to my sisters to women that I was attracted to sugar, to weed, to binge eating, to pleasure, to not wanting to have any responsibilities in life, to just wanting to be out there traveling, doing what I want, when I want, rebellious against authority, okay? These are all the characteristics of the feminine. And I had a very troubling relationship with them. I had a very clutching, needy relationship to the feminine. And so those dots started to connect for me. And so I thought to myself in those moments, I said, if I'm struggling with an addiction here to substances which are yin and feminine, like weed and sugar and screens, and a poor relationship to women, then if that's the case and the symbol of yin yang is what the study was all about, you know, yin yang balance. If the symbol is yin yang, then what is my relationship to masculine, to the other side of it? Because that must be affecting my relationship to the feminine, just through the fact that they must be in balance. One must be affecting the other. So this toxic, poor relationship with feminine energy must be related to my relationship to masculine energy. And so I started asking myself questions like, well, what does it mean to be masculine? What is yang? What is yang? What is it? And so I started to study that topic. I started to seek answers to that question. I started to listen to men speak about masculinity and speaking about becoming a man and what it would be, what it meant. And a lot of men spoke about a rite of passage. They spoke about initiation and how boys must be initiated into men. Now, I attempted to initiate myself with traveling. It became clear that that was my attempt to initiate myself into manhood, was through traveling, was going out into the unknown, going far away from home. Yeah, with little resources, like a survival quest for 2.5 years. It didn't end up actually being fully complete though. It wasn't fully complete. And so I continued learning. What else does it mean to be a man? Well, it says, one of the things I came across was having a goal, having a purpose, having a reason to live that's beyond just your own personal desires. There's a transpersonal purpose. Having a reason to get up in the morning, having a reason to go to work, having a reason to do the uncomfortable things, to train the body, to do what you must. That's beyond your personal self. That's beyond just you. Okay? So that was an interesting one for me to consider, because it was like, well, all I've been doing is living for my own desires, smoking weed, binge eating, being lazy. I've just been living for my own desires. And so when I started adopting more responsibility, when I started teaching more yoga classes, now I had somewhere to be. I couldn't be late. I couldn't be high. I couldn't be full of sugar because I had a class to teach. I found that I started to feel a lot better with some responsibility. Okay, so it all started to connect. It became very clear to me that in order to get better, in order to fix my relationship to weed, sugar, pleasure, comfort, women, I had to become more masculine. It just clicked there and then. I had to become more masculine, because masculine is the other side to the coin. Masculine and feminine, all of those things I was struggling with, sugar, weed, women, pleasure, comfort, they were all feminine. So to balance it out, I had to reconnect to the masculine. So if you find yourself as a guy who's wanking every day or most days, who's clutching to comfort and pleasure, who doesn't feel like he has a sense of purpose, who feels afraid of taking a risk and he doesn't want to make failure, he doesn't want to face failure, he doesn't want to make a mistake, who struggles in his relationship to women, pleasure and comfort, who struggles in his relationship to food and nourishment and nurturing, who struggles with his relationship to men and maybe has resentment, deep resentment against his father, then it might serve you greatly to consider what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine. Okay? And to start embodying that more, because just like it helped me so much, it could help you too. Now, this was more of a storytelling video, okay? I want to create a video where I actually break down the things that I learned about masculine energy, the things that I really learned, and what it means to be masculine, and what we can do to increase our connection, to better our connection to masculinity, and to embody that more. And so I'm going to go about making a video on that. If that's something that you want to see, let me know in the comments. If you got any value out of this story, yeah, that's all that it was. I'm not expecting this to be some video that has a super high impact. I just wanted to tell you a story as I get used to making videos again. If you got some value out of it, hit the like button, subscribe. This is taking me 34 minutes to record, and I'll be doing some editing on it as well. So why don't you pay a homie some love for the time that I'm putting in to do this video. Not that I'm entitled to likes or subscribes or whatever, but it would just be super supportive and helpful. I'm going to get around to making that video on then the core tenets of masculine energy, and how not only did I decide to become more masculine, but how I actually started to do that, what that actually looks like. Okay? If you want something from this video, remember at the beginning of the story, I started training in the gym. This is enough to get started. I didn't know I was increasing my masculine energy then, I was just doing it. But this is a great way to get started. So train, lift, run, just overcome resistance, start turning your weaknesses into strengths. And that'll definitely have a positive impact on your life. Watch my other videos, check them out. You might find something that you enjoy. Head on over to the channel, there's 100 plus videos. The last one I uploaded was all about confidence, so you might want to watch that. In fact, I'll put a little picture, a little box there for you to click on 5 ways or more on how to increase your confidence rapidly. So much love. Peace out. Speak to you soon. Yo, do us a favour, would you? I want these videos to be fueled on the public's requests, meaning I want you to message me and let me know what you want me to make videos on. What are you struggling with? What challenges are you facing in life at the moment? How can I be of service to you? It would be an honour to speak directly to you, and that's why I'm asking for this. You see, if you send me your questions in paragraph form, as opposed to just the name of the topic or the title, I can speak directly to you because I know your situation a little better. So if you want to just mention some topics you'd like me to film videos on, feel free to do that. But if you also want to go a little bit deeper and help a brother out with ammo, then send me a nice little paragraph or 2 or 3 and just vent, let me know what's going on in your life, and I'll be able to make a video that suits you and helps many more as well. So you can leave those things in the comments below, or you can head over to my Instagram page via the link in the description. You might want to give me a follow there too, and send me a direct message. Message me directly with your questions, queries, situation, and I'll do my best to be of service to you. Peace and stay blessed.